What up, Zeros and Ones? This is Mike Bust from Arcadians, also known as Vareed from Monster Hunter Tri, and I'm here to provide a commentary on some gobble hunts and share some of my general views regarding how bowguns do damage in Monster Hunter Tri. This video is dedicated to my buddy Jack, also known as Gingerbread Monkey on YouTube, who hosts awesome Monster Hunter footage from all over the interwebs on his YouTube channel, and he's also a disciple in the ways of Capcom series. He asked that I kill many gobbles in his name, and I'm more than happy to oblige, as Gobble is actually my favorite monster in Monster Hunter Tri. He isn't particularly difficult, but I love the concept of an anglerfish's physiology paired with a pufferfish's toxicology. For those of you that don't know, the pufferfish is used in Haiti to make real-life zombies. That's right, Wade Davis wrote a book about it. It's called The Serpent and the Rainbow. Please look it up. But we're not here to talk about zombies, we're here to talk about gobbles and bowgun damage. My bowgun setup for each of these videos in which I use a bowgun is a pure shot loadout using the Chaos Wing frame, Barazuka barrel, and Thundercris stock for an ending range of .72 and a loadout of 7 Pierce 1 shots. This setup lets me work in all 3 hits of the pure shot and hopefully focus as many hits on Gobble's face, which takes slightly more damage than his body when piercing through it. And so I'm starting here soloing Gobble so I can briefly talk about bowgun technique. Since gunners have less defense than blade masters, staying in the fight and doing constant damage means being keenly aware of what the monsters are doing. It's very difficult to continue in the hunt if you are receiving damage regularly or even blocking hits regularly, as it almost certainly amounts to time spent not shooting or healing. And really, taking advantage of every available opportunity to do damage is really what the bowgun is all about. I have some personal experience in soloing monsters in high rank with both the bowgun and various Blade Master weapons, and I've come to the following personal conclusion. Soloing monsters with the bowgun generally takes longer than soloing with a comparable Blade Master weapon, comparable in damage that is. However, 2 gunners working together can generally do more damage than if you were to simply double one gunner's damage, whereas 2 Blade Masters working together generally do either damage equal to doubling one of the 2 Blade Masters or less. In other words, it is my belief that bowguns do less damage singularly than other weapons because their damage potential increases dramatically in group hunting situations. So you can see here that my time, it's very brief, it's 1926 for a solo on the Gobble with the bowgun. And to continue on this point that I'm making about comparing Blade Master and bowgun damage, I soloed the Gobble with the Lance. The Lance is my best Blade Master weapon class, but I still am not as good on it technique-wise as I am on the bowgun. To my mind, I'm decidedly less aggressive on the Lance and tend to take more damage because I'm not as proficient at working around the monster and essentially avoiding them when they're attacking. But despite not being as proficient at the weapon class, the same kill on the high rank Gobble occurred about 30% more quickly. Now, I want to be really clear about something. My argument concerning damage levels has less to do with outright damage variables, like raw damage levels, as it has to do with a bowgunner's ability to capitalize on a monster's distracted attentions. Watch as I'm soloing with the Lance. Even though I take comparatively more hits and have trouble being as consistently aggressive, I nevertheless am able to more or less keep attacking. Part of my theories on bowgun damage stem from my experiences using Blade Master weapons and 2-manning hunts with other Blade Masters. I've noticed that it is more difficult to keep on the offensive, especially hitting choice damage areas, as the monster's movements become less predictable, and also have the annoying habit of veering off in a direction that isn't particularly beneficial for me, usually because they're chasing the other hunter. Because of this, I've had a number of experiences where my time on a 2-man quest ended up being something closer to a 30% decrease in quest time, as opposed to outright doubling the efficiency of the hunting party's damage potential. And then that is what one might expect, since there would be 2 hunters instead of 1. To be certain, Blade Masters working together can also capitalize on monster distraction, and especially since the act of sharpening or laying down traps can contribute to overall damage potential, and are certainly best accomplished while the monster is preoccupied. In a way, though, since gunners are naturally inclined to stay away from the monster, they arguably have more time to accomplish activities other than attacking. Gunners can lay traps while still potentially being able to attack while standing next to the trap, for example. My theory has significant flaws, certainly, and one can imagine many situations where the confluence of blade mastering styles can work together to inflate each other's damage. A paralysis longsword paired with a high sharpness hammer, where one or both of the hunters have trap master, for example, means incredible amounts of damage. I've seen two-man Uragon and Rathian runs, for example, where two hunters were able to lock their skills and unify their damage strategies in a meaningful way. And those runs would seem to contradict my theory. But be careful in thinking that this is an absolute exception, because status locks are noted for their ability to amplify damage potentials. And in the end, gunners have somewhat more flexibility in delivering status locks, since multiple types of status damage can be delivered. So gunners really have their own way of capitalizing on these sort of interlocking playstyles as well, which in some ways are better suited than similar blade mastering strategies. So, right here is a whole bunch of tomfoolery on the lance. I'm getting myself paralyzed. I'm generally... This is great right there, because I basically missed the attack simply because of going through the invincibility frames of standing up. But, it's that kind of luckiness that's really saving me in the end on the lance. I'm attacking in the wrong direction regularly, and just having a really difficult time getting around the monster's attacks. And this just isn't the case for me on the bowgun. I'm much better at establishing position, establishing range, avoiding attacks, being more conscious of what the monster's doing at any given time. This isn't because the lance isn't capable of doing that. Really on the contrary. The lance is a great weapon if you're really good at anticipating the monster attacks and can basically just work around them. And, personally, I've always been confused by certain elements of that, so it doesn't work out as well for me. But there it is, my time is 13:32 on the solo of the lance. So since this discussion revolves around the distracted attentions of the monster, the next logical place to look would be a situation where two gunners are able to work together in order to capitalize on each opportunity that the monster turns towards the other hunter. Here we see me gunning with my bunny Satya, aka Soy from the Capcom Unity forums. Soy and I play really well together in general, but in this situation, it was pretty late at night and I was definitely not in top form. There's a great scene coming up later where Gobble is literally just punching me in the face repeatedly because I'm not blocking his attacks. I also place a shock trap in a horrible location, and I'm simply saying these things ahead of time so that I can point them out a little more easily, and you make sure not to make the same mistakes, please. So, the moment when he starts punching me in the face repeatedly is actually coming right up. It's in about 20 seconds. It's always really important to block those flashes, especially if you have a shielded barrel of the bowgun. It really just requires that you stop shooting for a second, and the stuns that result from being flashed are just not fun. Of course, he hears me and Soy just staggering him out of it. But here I am getting punched in the face repeatedly, as I made reference to earlier. And this is just about me not anticipating his attacks properly, and because of that, on the lance, I actually kind of got away with that. I got away with not anticipating what he was doing and just stabbing through everything. That was me not dodge rolling, by the way. So that doesn't work out as well for me on the bowgun. Basically, I should have healed at this point. I'm really lucky that I survived the attack that I did and was able to just grab a max potion and get out of this situation right here. But the point that I really want to make is that the distractions of the monster have allowed Soy to continue attacking even though I'm doing poorly, and this is where the bowgun really accelerates. It would have really changed the pace of the fight, and whether or not another Blade Master could have kept attacking Gobble while he was punching me in the face. Here's the poor shock trap, and the reason that this is poor is that it's not in a location that Gobble will naturally walk through, especially if he's injured and limping out of the area. And I should have anticipated at this point that he would be limping in the not-too-distant future, because really his hit points are low enough, we've been attacking enough, he's ready to go. So, at the end of the day, Soy and I complete this quest quite a bit faster than I was able to do with the lance or the bowgun in solo. And I think that part of the reason for this, beyond just monster distraction, is being able to work together as a cohesive hunting party, being able to anticipate each other's moves. It's no secret in Monster Hunter that if you work with an experienced team and if you have experience playing with the same people on a frequent basis, then there's a lot to be said for sort of anticipating what the other ones are going to do. Soy, at this point, anticipates me to do silly things with traps and to try to get around situations where I'm doing less damage by somehow supplementing with, demon shots or status effects. So he's used to my sort of tomfoolery on the bowgun and my inability to really commit myself to a certain direction. here we are grabbing Gobble out of the lake, and this is just fantastic that we're able to, like, flinch him out like this. For whatever reason, this really short range on the Pierce shots allows me to nick in shots really easily while he's sleeping, so that was just kind of fantastic. But again, in this run, it was late at night, I'm not paying attention, I'm getting punched over and over again, and it's sort of a testament to how bowguns do damage that, you know, we really do make it through in a decent amount of time. It was about 6.5 minutes for us to complete, as opposed to the 19 it took me to solo Gobble with a gun, or the 13-ish it took me to solo with the Lance. These times are not definitive or conclusive, as there's no corrections that I've made for differences in hit points between the monsters or even other factors, but I'm presenting them as a theoretical model for how bowgun damage can be assessed. So I'm going to close this up with a 4-man run where I exercise a little more skill and discretion and help my hunting party to gain every significant advantage in the hunt that we can. And of course I'm going to make a music video out of it, as is my usual way. So thank you for listening to my goofy gunning conspiracy theories, stay salty on the hunt, peoples, and sit back and relax for some Arcadians versus Monster Hunter. And that's a wrap. It's been a pleasure making this video. Thanks, big ups to Jack, Gingerbread Monkey of YouTube, and his boy Zell as well. Jack's always been a really big supporter of my videos. It's been great talking to him on the interwebs. And he hosts a great channel with a lot of really cool Monster Hunter footage from all over the place. He certainly gathers up the best of the best. It's always a real pleasure talking to Jack and seeing his videos and what he collects on his YouTube channel. Thanks a lot for watching this. This is Mike Bust from Arcadians, Vareed from Monster Hunter Try. Peace out!